All right, guys, in this video, we're going to talk about the responsibilities of what your top half is responsible for and your lower half. What are the responsibilities of each? So in my training, I split my guys up into two halves, an upper half and a lower half. They have to support each other, okay? Now, what I mean by that is once you've gotten into your load and your setup and you're getting to the foot down process prior to launch, this is what you should look like, okay? So we call this weighted on the backside, meaning you're not overextended. You're in a good posture on top. You're in a good launch position. Bat position is in a great position here. Lead elbow, great position. That's just textbook. Foot down. You got a great base, okay? So your base is really good. So we call this having a really good pyramid. So your foundation is really strong. So let me clear these lines. So as we roll through, there's things that work together. So we talk about ground force, being able to apply pressure to the ground prior to launch. And if you watch this video, you're going to see a couple things moving simultaneously. So we talk about that back knee. Once you apply your ground force, that back knee is going to drive, and it's also going to drive your hands. Okay? So when that lead elbow goes, hands go, back knee goes. So when we talk about dividing this up into halves, right? So let's take the lower half. So if we just look at the lower half, if we're applying our ground force, which is right here, and I'll clear these lines, applying our ground force to our back side, that's the amount of pressure we're putting straight down before we launch the barrel. Okay? We're in a good posture. We have a good foundation. Look at that back knee is driving. And again, when I say driving, we're talking about driving, the hips are staying closed. Okay? So as hips are staying closed, now as we're driving down, you can see that knee driving down. Now all of a sudden, when you launch the barrel, that lead leg is going to be firm. So now everything we do on the lower half, right, we're into our legs. So if we look, let me clear these a second. If we look, we're into our legs. And we talked about the lower half, right? So just focusing on the lower half, right? We get into our legs right away when we launch the barrel, okay? Now, what's really good about this too is that the front side is going to be firm. So before we get to our connection point, as we're applying our ground force and driving that knee, we're going to be firm. So all of our pressure is driving into that front side, okay? We're not taking our body, we're not leaking to past that front side. So as we get to our connection points, now you can see your head is back. You're in a great foundation posture here where we're pushing against that front side, okay? We're not going past that. We get to our connection point and we drive through. And really, our bottom half was our foundation. We talk about having that strong foundation to really, really support everything that happens on the top half. Our bottom half really has to support everything that happens when we launch, okay? So that's the bottom half. Now let's talk about the top half. Let's clear this. Go back to at foot down. So now when we talk about the top half, right? Now, we're in a great launch position. So this is all about getting to foot down and being ready to launch, okay? Our bat position, we're scapped up, loaded up on that backside. We got a great foundation, okay? We're applying our ground force. Now, our top half is looking really solid. Now, let me clear these lines. Now, as we launch, we're talking about that hand pivot point, okay? So now the hands are going to pivot. So when we start launching the barrel, you can see that our back pelvis is closed still. Now the barrel is going to launch. Our lead elbow is going to go. That's where everything, our hands are starting to go. We're starting to get on plane. So now when we release that rear leg torsion on the back side, right, and we get that barrel turn on plane right here, right, now you can look at the position of your lead elbow. As our back elbow's in the slot, that lead elbow's coming up, our hands are still grinding the barrel. So now we're really working on that hand pivot point to get to connection. There's our connection point. I'll clear these lines again. Now we have that power V. Now we're at a good power V. We're at a really good connection point. We say get to your 6. So this is your 6 position. That's also your connection point is get to your 6. Okay, so here's the ball right here. There's the baseball. There's your connection point. There's your power V on top, or a reverse house, whatever you want to call it. A lot of people call it power V. That's what your top hand's doing. Then as you're driving through, there's your extension. So now you're driving through connection to extension. Now your hands have what we call that second V, okay, on top before you roll the wrist over and get to the backside to completion. So you get a full finish. So that's what it is in a nutshell. There's your top half. There's your bottom half, okay? They each have jobs to do, but then they support each other's movements. Okay, guys?